administration, police, NGOs, revenue department, and other prominent community organizations. Forest Protection Force, an armed wing of the Forest Department, was deployed in Doyang for the whole migration season, and they worked round the clock for effective prevention of the trapping and killing of birds. They started their work well in advance to have a deterrent effect. Patrolling, raids, surprise checks and camping around the roosting sites were the most effective enforcement measures for the protection of the Amur falcons. The Natural Nagas and Wildlife Trust of India also joined in the efforts and established a protection camp as well as in carrying out active patrolling. The Chief Minister of Nagaland, Mr. Nipurio himself, denounced the hunting of any wildlife and warned the villages about punitive measures of withholding grants and aid. Notifications regarding the same were relayed by the Chief Secretary and the Director Rural Development for implementation during the migratory season.
It is our duty to preserve before when we don't know conservation and the importance of these animals. Nagas were being killing for eating. But today, we are broadly educated society. We are no more primitive, and we can do without killing these beautiful animals. We can survive.
The Forest Department backed a lot on this action and issued thousands of posters carrying the message of conservation on one side and the concerned notifications on the other. Village Council members signed a tripartite memorandum of understanding with the Wildlife Trust of India and Natural Nagas to stop wide-scale hunting of Amur falcons in the Doyang Reservoir. Following the MOU, under Rapid Action Program, Bird for Bird program was implemented to address the meat requirement, and another program called Grain for Grain to compensate the losses incurred due to wild elephants. Also, a protection squad was formed involving the villages. According to them, a plan to give economic incentives to the landowners of the roosting sites is also in the offing. The Principal Chief Conservator of Forest and Head of Forest Force of Nagaland, Mr. Lokeshwara Rao, visited Doyang and addressed all stakeholders with a promise of bringing the village under Biodiversity Conservation Reserve and their livelihood grievances to collaborate with Nagaland Livelihood Mission, tourism, fisheries, etc., and have strengthened trust between the community and the departments. The fishermen who hunt the birds during this lean fishing season were pacified, and this resulted in constructive cooperation for giving safe passage to the birds. A conservation action plan of the Amur falcon, which includes components like involvement in protection work, self-help groups, microfinancing, ecotourism, habitat improvement and research, have also been prepared and submitted to the government by the Chief Wildlife Warden and is currently awaiting approval. The outcome of all the aforementioned efforts put in by everyone concerned resulted in the enthusiastic participation of those fishermen who were once hunters in a joint mission of satellite tagging of few individuals of the Amur falcon. This was an initiative of the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, Raptors MOU of the Convention on Migratory Species, BirdLife International Hungary, and the Department of Forest, Ecology, Environment and Wildlife, Nagaland. Altogether, 28 birds were ringed, and from among these, 3 individuals were selected and PTT tagged, 1 male named Naga and 2 females named Wokha and Pangti after the state, district and village respectively.
First thing I'd like to say is thank you very much to the Naga people for allowing us to come here, to visit Nagaland and to catch and trap these birds. We've today put 3 satellite transmitters on 3 birds and they all flew off beautifully. We hope we'll hear from them again very soon, because we've already sent the message to Hungary, who's going to be taking the satellite data down, analysing it and uploading it onto the website. So we hope in the next few days we'll have that available for people to see. We want to map exactly the route of the bird, and if there's any other information we get, it'll tell us about the quality of the location as well. So sometimes it's not so narrow the focus of the information.
Correct.
But it'll be interesting to see. What we really want to see is what the birds are doing here.
Correct.
Well, for the last few days it spends here in Nagaland.
Correct.
And then to see how it traverses across India, which states it goes through, then the transfer across the Indian Ocean into Africa and probably down to South Africa.
These birds were all tagged and released on 7th November 2013. As of now, all PTTs are active and the birds have long since reached southern Africa. In Nagaland, a major chunk of the land is under community control and a special status is attributed to Nagaland by Article 371A of the Indian Constitution. As such, implementation of even the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 hasn't been very effective so far. Therefore, conservation efforts that are taken up along with people's support alone will prove fruitful in the long run.
In view of the land holding system in the state, the community-based conservation of wildlife is most appropriate for the state, as mandated under Wildlife Protection Act 1972. There are a number of community reserves being declared by the villagers, where they have adopted resolutions to ban killing, hunting of wildlife, even logging of forests. This is a positive sign for the state. The perception of wildlife management in the state has been changed drastically. There is a positive change. The mindset of the villagers is very positive towards wildlife conservation in the state.
Apart from this forest department, the NGOs like Nagaland Wildlife Protection Trust and Natural Nagas and even Wildlife Trust of India has played a major role in, to pursue the villages, and the real heroes of the whole conservation movement is the villagers, especially the communities. They have sacrificed their livelihood and they have conserved this particular bird.
From what has been observed and experienced during these past years, these 3 villages, especially Pangti village, have initiated an unprecedented and unique process, and it deserves to be acknowledged, credited and encouraged for the future.
The credit for the successful protection of Amur Falcon should go to the villagers, because they have sacrificed their forest, their land, their resources, their time, their energy, and this is a positive sign. And the villagers should take all the credit, not even the department or the other agency cannot take the credit, because the villagers own the land, everything belongs to them, so they have sacrificed their livelihood, so credit will go to the villagers.
These villagers are looking for some positive external inputs and support, and have even affirmed, often during interactions, that given alternative livelihood options which can help generate income to meet their needs, they would assuredly refrain from hunting of wild animals and birds. Given that they have paved a way for effective conservation, it is crucial at this stage to take prompt steps towards securing their confidence and leaving no chances by addressing their needs in return for their cooperation. It is imperative to bear in mind that a lack of interest and enthusiasm from the government and non-government agencies could lead to disenchantment and distrust by the local people. Moreover, the youth of these villages are taking a keen interest in conservation activities, but they are also faced with the problems of unemployment. In such a scenario, facilitating and guiding them to take a greater interest in conservation and linking this in some way to livelihood options can build a strong and effective community-based conservation movement in Nagaland. Apart from being known as the land of festivals, Nagaland was recently declared as the falcon capital of the world by the Raptors MOU of the Convention on Migratory Species because a staggering number of Amur falcons visit this land during the months of October and November every year.